Hello, my friends, and welcome to FISHTORY. I'm Alexander Williamson, and today we're going to be going over the best lighting options for your dollar that are in the aquarium hobby. And we're actually going to be looking just outside of the aquarium hobby's official lighting spectrum, because that's where you're going to find the best bang for your buck in the lighting world. So, if you need a light that is strong, that is bright, and that will grow plants, this is the episode for you. Now, we're not going to go over all the minute details about lumens, par, and things like that. If you want to learn more about lighting in general for the hobby and growing aquascapes or high-level plants with CO2, stuff like that, this isn't the episode for you. This is if you want to save money and get a $15 light that will light up a square or cubic foot of space in your aquarium with high lighting. This is the best trick out there and the most affordable way to do it. So let's jump in right now. All right, you guys, so if you're used to aquarium lighting, you're probably used to seeing a light all the way across the aquarium. And I would have to agree that this looks great for most aquariums. This is probably how you want to light it if you're into design, you're into the aesthetics, and you want an even cast, or you're doing an aquascape where it matters what kind of light is getting to which areas of plants, and you have a spot with the most light and then a diffuse light spot, and you want diodes of a full spectrum. However, there are ways to get around this and save a whole lot of money. Follow me. Now, if you're willing to get down and dirty here, you can get a light like this one. This is a light that has only one mode. So this light is either off or on, and as you will see, it has only one color and intensity of light, which is very bright, something like 4,000 lumens. Some of these are up to 10,000 lumens. And this is a floodlight that you would attach to the side of your house or to a garage or to a workspace. This, on a 2.5 gallon tank, will literally blind everything in there, but it will grow incredible plants. You'll get all the details you want on red plants, and you'll get plants growing. You'll get so much growth that honestly you may also encounter things like algae being an issue. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you're missing out on if you want to go this route, because you can get these for $50. That's 4 of these lights for $50. Sometimes you can get them 2 for $25. Sometimes they're 2 for $30. And I'm going to let you in on a secret, which is that the diodes are the important part. So that's the thing that gives you each little individual spot of light. And these are all LED lights we're talking about today. And here you can see there's pastels, there's white, there's light white, there's a yellowy white, there's a blue white, and there's pink and blue. Well, plants need a spectrum of light, and they have a vegetative spectrum, which is how they grow, and a flowering or coloring up perspective and wavelength of light. And if you get really into plants and you're all about your plants, you probably don't want a light like this because it isn't servicing a wide spectrum. What you're doing when you get a light like this is you're picking one spectrum, and that is a blue sky sunny day. And they say that out of all of the light that is out there, from ultraviolet to infrared, that you are in the 6,000 to 6,500 Kelvin range. And we measure it in a unit called kelvins. A lot of times that's a little K next to the light info if you're looking on the box. And light bulbs will also have this. They'll say a certain number and then K, and it'll be somewhere between 4,000 and 7,000, maybe 8,000. Now, all of our plants grow and vegetate at a lower or warmer spot on the chart. And as time goes on, then they flower in a different bandwidth. And so if you're trying to do things like flower an Anubias or a Bucephalandra, you're going to want both covered, and even inexpensive lights. So here we're looking at a Fluval 3.0. In the other room, we were looking at a twin star that was across that whole tank. And here we've got a Higer that has blue and green and red as well as orange, but it doesn't have the full spectrum of soft white and cool white. So it doesn't even have the full cast, but you'll see lights like this out there. You'll see lights that can dim and that can ramp up or ramp off, that have night modes, that have all sorts of different features that perhaps you want. This is not going to have any feature other than off and on, and you can work out a dimmer switch if you're real crafty, but I don't want to go into all those details. I want to save you time and keep talking about this. So the other big option that a lot of people jump to, and I want to say why I'm not, is up here. And this is a shop light that's an LED that's supposed to mimic kind of your traditional ballast light. I'm using this because it's so good at growing algae. And that algae feeds these little bugs that I feed to my lovely fish down here. Now, again, this is the Fluval 3.0. This is, in my opinion, the gold standard in our hobby. It runs around $150 to $250, depending on how big of a light you're getting, whether you're getting the 24-inch or 48-inch. But this light is going to allow you to do pretty much everything you want with plants. And you can change the lighting. So different lakes and different rivers around the world are going to have different colors of light. And some people want to dial that in all the way. And they want to be very specific and accurate. They want to have the length of the day that is correct. And they want to have it ramp up at the beginning, rather, and dim down at the end. And that is all understandable. I get all of that. But you don't need it to grow plants. You don't need it to see your fish. If you just want to see your fish and have them look pretty good, see color pretty well. I mean, here you can see that the chili rasboras look pretty good. Everybody looks pretty good underneath the light. Maybe not their very best, but they look pretty good. You can see them, and this is going to grow a heck of a lot of plants. It also puts off some warmth. Now, that's a con for some people, but for me, I think that's a plus because I can put it on a 5-gallon tank, and it will heat that 5-gallon tank an extra 5 to 10 degrees, which is perfect in my household. Now, let's show you the difference. So here you've got a cast that's very wide on like a Fluval or a lot of the aquarium focused lights for aquariums. And when we put this light over it and turn the other one off, you're going to see that the cast is not as good. It's not as wide necessarily. It's more of a spotlight that it doesn't go straight down, but it kind of comes out like an angle of, you know, yay. And then you can turn it sideways this way, obviously, or the other way. And what you end up doing is getting several of these, and or you mount them higher up so the cast is wider. And if you mount them about 6 inches above the surface of the water, you still get pretty good cast. And this is even going through some floating plants here and all this saucertang that's floating here. So it's going to look really green in this tank, whereas in this tank, there's not much for it to go through. There are some floating plants, but it's casting down more of a true color of whatever the light is. Over here, you can really play with things. You can use your phone, and out there, there's everything from cheap lights like Higer to really cheap lights like Aquarium to kind of middle of the road Phoenix lights like this one here. It gives a good color, but you're a little limited in this light, for instance, in that there's no dimmer switch, there's no timer, there's nothing on this light here other than off, on, and blue. So that's pretty common in the aquarium world. So if you're okay with giving that up, and you're okay with compromising on not having a vegetative and a fruiting or flowering light, and you're fine with just having one bandwidth of a sunny day that's 6,500 Kelvin. That's what you're going to Google. You're going to look for any light that's 6,500 Kelvin or even 6,000 Kelvin. And that will give you a light about like this, a fairly neutral, not too warm, not too cool light. Some people like a little warmer. Some people like a little cooler. I'll let you do your research on that. But it's down to personal preference. Beyond all of that, let me show you one more time what a full spectrum light can do with plants. So plants like these that are getting one set amount of light, they're going to be a little limited in how amazing the colors are going to be. So over here you can see again, we've got one of these bar lights. This is called a current light, and it's very low power, very, very low power. But it's enough that even through all this floating stuff, you can still see the fish, right? But you're going to get more algae. You're going to get more cyanobacteria likely. And again, when we look at the actual light, here we've got a bluish white and a true white, or a 65 500 Kelvin light and probably one that's maybe 1,000 Kelvin difference. And that isn't going to give you a full range to flower anything, but a lot of people don't care about flowering things. And that little shop light is also going to give you just the one bandwidth. Now, one thing that I need to tell you, and if you made it this far, you're going to learn the big secret, is that in China, in the entire world, there aren't that many companies that make the actual diodes, these lights, the individual lights that make up a light. So whether you have a fancy light like a Twin Star S series that has all these pastel colors, and by the way, I like Twin Star personally. They don't last that long. That shop light out there is waterproof because it's a floodlight for outside on your house. But in here, you have to be careful with this light. It's pretty breakable. It's got kind of a fogged glass under here that helps diffuse light. And I think in my opinion, the Twin Star series gives the best colors and the best growth to your plants. We've got a little duckweed situation, and it makes your fish just sparkle a little bit more. That's the stuff you're going to miss out on, those nuances, and that's what you pay the extra money for, truly. But a tank like this, you could suspend 2 or 3 of those lights and have highlight across the whole thing with 3. That would cost you less than $50 US. Pretty amazing. And each of these diodes, even though they're in different products, the big secret is that the company Cree, C-R-E-E, makes a massive amount of these in the US and all over the world. All the products that are out there, whether they're from the US or China, a lot of them use these. So they may be manufactured in the US, but they're going to have diodes that are very likely from one of 5 or 6 companies that make these diodes, and more than likely they're going to be of one of the companies like Cree. Now, I think Cree is probably the best one out there for the cheap entry level. So look for floodlights with C-R-E-E lighting, Cree diodes, and make sure that the lighting range is in the 6,000 or 6,500 Kelvin range. Beyond that, they may produce more lumens or more sheer energy in light than even these big lights compact into a small beam or space. And some people want that. Some people spend $800 on a Kessel light or an ADA light that casts a narrow beam. And it looks really cool in black water. It looks really cool in certain aquascapes, but it's not for everyone. And that won't grow plants the same way that a wide spectrum, wide cast, the way it casts the light, type of light will, that's packed with quality diodes. So look for the Cree diodes, look for 6,500 Kelvin if you want a light like the one I have in the other room, and if you want to replicate a look something like this that costs you around $12.50 per light. Thank you guys so much for listening to what I had to say today. If you guys want to save money on your aquarium setup, yet still have good quality lighting where you can see your critters and you can grow some plants, this is my opinion of the best way to go. For 12 bucks per square foot, basically, or cubic foot of water, this is what I think is the best option out there. For 12 or 15 bucks for each unit of water that size, I don't think you can beat it. But if you want the little nuances, the little details about growing incredible plants, using CO2, dialing in your spectrum, changing your spectrum, and having a dynamic range throughout the day, check out my other videos called Let There Be Light, parts 1, 2, and 3. They're live streams, and I need to remake them soon. So if you'd like to see that remade in all the detail, a deep dive into aquarium lighting yet again with all the updates that have come out in the last 3 or 4 years, let me know in the comments. Also, if you made it all the way to the end, you are one of the chosen few who should probably subscribe. I mean, I'd appreciate it greatly if I've earned it. And if you are already subscribed, thank you so much. You make this channel possible. I will see you guys next time on FISHTORY. Take care and have a great day.